This is my start to Season 6 of Ladder in D2R. To make it into the perfect start, I will be using the 3-phase approach. Phase 1 consists of leveling up a sorceress through normal to hell. Phase 2, speccing into Blizzard and magic finding with her. And Phase 3, using the gear to create a budget-ish smiter that clears Ubers easily and gets me torches and wealth. Not this one. Now to get a sorc to attain magic finding glory, I gotta level 1 up first. So for the build, I will be going for the balls to walls approach. Starting out, I use the firebolt staff to generate some wealth and get some mana and stamina potions from Akara. Using those, I could clear the den. Upon entering it, I reached level 2 and I got a point into charged bolt. This is going to be a running theme early on since lightning skills have by far the best AoE per level requirement, and thus I will be speccing into that tree to begin with. Also, they hit decently hard, especially as you put more points into them, something that I did at level 3 and also from the skill point that Akara gave me for the den. For the stats, I do just go for the Vitality Master Race. Sorc is the one character on which you can justify energy points, especially in the beginning when the mana struggle is real, but I don't think it's even worth it. More points in Charge Bolt again, and the same at level 5. Experience in the underground comes quick thanks to the elites, and I reached level 6 and got another point into Charge Bolt. The goal right now really is to get to the Countess Tower for some runes and levels. Once I did though, I was faced with the challenges of online play and the maps resetting every run. Thus I used this cheat sheet made by my man with no filler to get to the exit faster. Amidst this, I reached level 7 and put a point into the overdue skill of telekinesis. The rune goal from the Countess was Tal Eth. The Tal took no time at all and Eth took all the time in the world. Between that, I grew by 6 levels with which I specced further into Charge Bolt, except for one level where I got 1 point into Frost Nova. The leveling spree at the Countess did mean that I was ready to take on the rest of normal, and I reached level 14 before reaching Endariel, another point into Charge Bolt. Against the Poison Queen herself, I bought some antidotes beforehand and then went on to work with Charge Bolt. Again, I don't like going into Nova in Act 1, even though it is available at this stage and is a stronger attack, especially with the static field synergy, we will be doing so now instead. Light mana potions are able to sustain Nova a lot better than minor ones could in Act 1, and along with static field and Frost Nova, this becomes a very safe and deadly attacking strategy. Gotta love that description. Using that and killing some beetles, I reached level 15 and started putting points into Nova. Like I mentioned before, lightning skills have the most AoE at the moment, and thus I am sticking with this build through normal, and at level 16 I got another point into Nova. Using Nova does chew through your mana and eventually your gold pretty fast. Also, I may have died. Yeah, that'll chew through your gold too. So, to make some of it back, I used the chip gems that I had been hoarding since the beginning and made some eye level 25 magic wands, buying them off of Akara for 400-ish bucks and selling it to Farah for 10k. I reached level 17 in the Maggot and got the opportunity to use stealth. The faster unwalk and FCR honestly feels super nice, especially since I already had a 10 FCR ring and an apprentice wand, and thus I could reach the 45 FCR breakpoint. The real niceness is achieved at level 18 where I can put a point into teleport. Now, it is not the best. It for sure isn't 45 FCR because quite like with Nova in Act 1, the mana potions just cannot handle the requirement. That is going to be a thing until we actually get greater potions in Act 4, but until then, at least I can use it as a teleport staff with unlimited charges. I'll take it. Thus with my greatest weapon in hand, I skipped through the rest of the act and landed in Duriel's Lair. There I could use my other greatest weapon, Frost Nova plus Static Field plus Merc on Thawing Potion steroids. Mainly though, it is the static field show which brings Duriel down to basically 1 HP, which I can then finish off with Nova. Reaching level 19 in Act 3 meant that I could use my helmet with 2 Ral runes to give me 60 fire rest. That is super nice, especially against shamans who can just fry your face off way too easily otherwise. I reached level 20 in the sewers and specced more into Nova. Now with my single player characters, I like to do Serena runs at this point to get to level 24. However, this being ladder, the Bazaar map is going to be different every time, and thus I'm going to try Trav runs in its place. This should in essence be the same. The goal here was to reach level 24-ish so that I can face CS comfortably. This would also allow me to get level 25-ish around Ancients, which will get me past level 26 by the time I beat Normal, which is essential because that's when Akara in Nightmare starts selling greater potions to you. It's all connected in the end, my friends. During this time I also shopped for a Magus wand from Ormus. This, with the 2 FCR pieces that I now had, and my stealth, would get me to the 63 FCR breakpoint, which for playthrough purposes is often as good as it gets. I left Trav at around 24 and reached Mephisto and killed him pretty easy, using the same Frost Nova, Static and Nova text that this sorc is known for. Easy side quest is a must for all casters IMO because the 2 skill point reward gives a good buff to damage from all your synergy skills. The rest of Act 4 goes by in a breeze. Even Infector and his pack of dogs can be tamed using Frost Nova and Static Field and be finished off with Nova. Diablo does have that one-shot ability still, but the benefit of having Static Field at such a high level is that it has range on it, giving you margin to maneuver and stay out of danger for the most part. Next level up for this goal comes at the Ancients fight. Now Frost Nova here is less effective due to the brothers being freeze-proof and they hurt a lot, all in their unique ways and all together as well. Korlik is the lamest and he also died first, Talik being the second. Then Madoc can be handled, even being the ancient with the most lightning res. This is normal, dog, you ain't gatekeeping me. That got me to level 25 and as planned, entering the throne and killing the monsters had me at level 26 target that I wanted to reach. After that, all that was left was to kill the waves, kill Bale and then leave normal for good, except not really, I'll be back. To start Nightmare, the plan was to complete the den and get the respec into Blizzard. Like I've said till now, I was Lightning because it had the best AoE per level, but that now changes since at level 26, cold skills are starting to more than catch up. I also popped down to Normal here to get a 3 open socket Kite Shield to build an Ancient's Pledge to get some better res. I also got a Sol rune from my Trav runs earlier, due to which I could make a lore to start Nightmare off, which is quite nice. And start Nightmare I did, and the Blizzard build is working out pretty alright. Thanks for asking. Now even though I had lore, I still wanted to do some countess runs to get the runes to put in a certain 4 open socket crystal sword. For the crystal sword itself, I went down to normal again to open the cow level. The crystal swords that drop in here have a high enough eye level to guarantee 4 open socket at Lazark. Whether you should do the same or maybe just look for one on Tradery, I'll leave that up to you to decide. My impatient SSF trained brain led me to get this though, and along with the rest of my gear, the sorc is actually looking pretty set to take on the difficulty. In the midst, I grew about 7 and a bit levels and put points into Blizzard till level 36. Since my levels are pretty alright, I jumped straight to Andy and took her on pretty easily. Just to make things even better, she dropped me unique light gauntlets and an almost Skin of the Viper Magi, which made me quite happy. Of course, we don't want to make things too easy, and so the Mage Fists turned out to be yeah. Life is better with challenges anyways, am I right? By the time I reached Act 2, I was old enough to reach level 37, which allowed me to invest more into Blizzard. Speaking of investments, I did so with my life savings into a wand of lower resistance. Something that I already know which will be well worth it since it increases elemental damage done on enemies significantly. I reached level 38 while killing Radamant. Completing plus skill quests is pretty essential for casters, and it also gave me my second pair of unique gloves. Now playing on my PTSD would have been a great villain move from Radamant, but he just dropped me a regular pair of Frosties instead. Anyways, the 2 skill points I put into Blizzard. Also, I guess I glossed over this, but you want to get a point into Cold Mastery at level 30, which gives you a huge buff to your damage in the form of negative enemy cold res, and even just getting 1 point invested goes a long way, especially if you have plus skill gear equipped. That all comes real handy in the Duriel fight. The negative res is amplified by the lower res wand. As far as the general plan of attack goes, walking Duriel in a circle and laying blizzards down ahead of you works great as he just walks through them and takes max damage while doing so. I reached level 39 while getting the Gidwin, and more into Blizzard we go. This scary looking room got me to level 40 and 1 more point into Blizzard. The Dems in the Trav got me to level 41. You can cheese kill Nightmare Mephisto if you really want, but with my current res and lower res mod, I didn't think that he commanded that much respect. After doing my Izzy, always remember to do your Izzy, I got another point into Blizzard at level 42. A little setback in the CS later, I reached level 43 in the CS while fighting Infector. Lower res plus these dogs can be a nasty combo, so watch out. So can be amp damage plus all these guys. It's fine, people. I'm just farming levels here as I reached level 44 and started putting points into Cold Mastery. With the extra firepower, Diablo melted quick. As the perfect duality check, we now move on to the throne room where cold immune monsters can start spawning in Nightmare, and against these ladies, save and exit is the only resort, short of getting a strong mercenary. I, however, hadn't found any good basis for an insight for my merc, and thus I just re-rolled to something better. The fact that I reached level 47 and put another point into Cold Mastery was not going to save me from this asshole being cold immune randomly. I tried giving an Act 5 merc a Rigsot scheme that I found earlier in normal, to little to no avail. You really need a real source of life leech and a strong weapon to take on cold immunes, a lesson that I will need to take going into hell. Thus, I led him out of the throne and cleared out the rest of the waves and got to level 48 before reaching Bale. At Bale, it was a matter of a few static fields and Blizzard in tandem with the lower res curse, and this girl just does way too much damage with her cold skills. But like we saw, the gaping hole in her strat are the cold immunes, of which there are going to be plentiful in hell. Thus, I would stay back in Nightmare and run a few areas to get levels and hopefully gear up my mercenary. What area? Well, I started with Nightmare Cows. These are slower to give XP than Bale runs, but have a greater chance of giving me the great items that I was after, since you end up killing a lot more white mobs than elites. Throughout the process, I grew from level 48 to 61. For skills, I put points into Cold Mastery till the negative enemy resistance was at 150. This covers a lot of the monsters in Hell who are not cold immune and have the cold res of up to 50 and gets them down to minus 100 res, which is the lowest possible. As far as drops go, I didn't really find the base weapon that I was after. Instead, I found these gloves with 10 IAS and dual res. Probably won't go for much on the market, but will do good for my sorc in Hell. Something I did think would do well in the market was the 7MF small charm with 9 mana. A pretty sweet roll, I might add, but it didn't really end up fetching me the runes that I was hoping for it. What did end up doing that was the Gull rune that I found next. I traded this for an Ist. Gull might be more valuable early ladder since people are building mosaics, but Ist runes are always solid to have as a form of currency. The cow runs, however, took a little too much time to give me the XP that I was after, and thus I ventured into the other territories like Terrorize CS, which was great in terms of levels. I reached level 62 there, and you can see I'm putting points into Glacial Spike now as another synergy to Blizzard. I did the same for level 63 and all the way through 69. Nice. As you can see, I did switch to Bale runs for the end for the superior XP givage. For drops, I found these Inferno Strides, which are handy for playthrough purposes. I also traded a P Amethyst for this 4 open socket Partisan, again, just for playthrough purposes to get my guy an insight, using which he can take on some of the cold immunes that I'm bound to face in the upcoming difficulty. Also found this jewel, which is pretty sweet if I do say so myself. I ended up selling this for a little cheap? Let me know in the comments, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a douchey YouTuber, but I actually want to know. I'm new to trading and I am more than likely bad. Now my plan with letting the merc take care of all the cold immunes kinda worked and kinda didn't. See, he could get most of them, but he really needed to be maintained due to the lack of any life leech on his gear. Sure, this girl struggled a bit with the immunes, but anything that this girl could kill, she nuked. Here's a clip of her casually one-shotting Rakunishu to reach level 70. The nuking power carried to bigger and juicier targets like Andy as well. You can see why the sorc is such a monster in terms of magic finding. Here you go, buddy. Don't worry, you're doing your best. He doesn't really have to either, because it's not like the game makes you face any mandatory cold immunes. Yet. Mostly the plebs that my sorc is killing don't get any aid to get gone and get her to level 71. With that, Hell actually goes past really fast. Duriel falls like the insignificant insect that he is. Uncle Mephi can be a bit of a nuisance because of his strong elemental attacks, but I have a feeling that this girl has a trick up her sleeve to get through those in the future. The rare boots were trash. I then did my Izzy in Hell like a good girl and got rewarded with level 72. Then we get to the playground of adults, CS. Now I do clear out Infector and Vizier here first, since I don't want either of those to be cold immune and cause more trouble than they are worth. Then for our little annoying Necromancer, I decided to nuke his cronies first and then go at him with the lower res wand. But of course the man turned out to be Spectral Hit, and thus his immunity could not be broken. Thus I had to resort to hiring a mercenary and telekinesing him to death. The merc helped too. I'll take it from here though, Jamali, as killing bosses is kinda my thing. I got a bassinet from this guy, which is cute, but it actually ended up selling. Turns out that there are actually people playing this game. I whizzed past Act 5 and reached another one of those fights with the mandatory cold immune. Yeah, no whizzing past this fight. Getting the perfect roll is literally half the battle. You don't want any of the one-shot ability effects like the one that I got before, so no cursed, no might aura. Conviction like this one is fine because all the barbs are physically hitting dudes anyways. Also, it is crucial to check that neither Talik or Madoc are cold immune. In fact, always check that first because it is an instant reset. Without that annoyance, you can see how manageable these guys are. I mean, sure, they still are Hell Ancients at the end of the day. I didn't used to call these guys the endgame in my mini playthroughs for nothing, but with a bit of smart play, including using the lower res wand at timely intervals and raining down Blizzard in front of wherever I went, it is nothing that cannot be handled. It also helps that Korlik is the final guy left due to his immunity because he is the lamest ancient. Thus, after his superior brethren or deatherin, I can just lower res this dude. And yeah, you can probably see my confusion through my moves when an extra strong lightning enchanted Korlik would not break immunity. That's when I realized that to beat him, you gotta like this video and subscribe to... Okay, yeah, it's the new Sunder thing. Yeah, they changed resistances. God damn it, gotta do this shit again. If anything, I gotta do it different as well, since now I gotta babysit old Jamali through it. Now I did get him a Bulwark, one of those new OP rune words which gets you lifesteal to maximize his odds. I also built him a Treachery. However, that was not really gonna be enough. My plan thus was to get through the part where I need him over as quickly as possible. Thus, by teleporting around wildly, I was able to separate the Ancients, and as fate would have it, Korlik broke apart from Madoc and Talik. I staticked him down to half, but after that, it was all Jamali. Even the old telekinesis trick did not work on this prominent figure. My merc's damage didn't seem to fare that much better either. Of course, the one roll where my sorc and my merc didn't get insta-killed by the Ancients, Korlik turned out to be stone skin. Still, Jamali pulled through. Treachery is just such a broken item. I mean, the fact that a merc wearing a breastplate that I just popped down to normal Farah for really shows that defense literally means nothing in this game. It is all about the stats. The DR from Fade is all that counts. Anywho, once Korlik is down, Talik and Madoc are basically a repeat from the last fight, with or without the mercenary. Just be careful if you roll a cursed one like I did. Now, getting a throne room that you like can be tricky. Tricky and also expensive, especially if you tend to do this a lot. I'm not proud to admit it, but I did end up finding myself at the short end of some gold. Now, in single player, I would have just done some P8 LK runs to make up some money, but since that really wasn't a choice, I just said fuck it and completely skipped the Bale fight altogether. For now. The goal with this sorc was to run Mephisto anyways, and about the only thing that killing Bale will achieve is give me access to terror zones, something I don't think I will be strong enough to take on anyways. Especially not with this MF gear. This is supposed to be cheap and effective, not glamorous, and to take on Mephisto 500 times, so get ready for the video inside the video, because these are the top 9 drops from 500 Mephisto runs. Number 9. 4 lifesteal areas. This I ended up flipping for 2p amethysts. Nothing glorious, but keeps the coffers topped up. Number 8. Blade of Alibaba. As a certified magic finder, anything that gives me more magic find is an automatic win. Number 7. 33 MF Geats. As a certified magic finder, anything that gives number 6. 7 lifesteal, 15 DR SOE. 1 off of perfect for lifesteal. This is a pretty cool find to put on my future pally for Ubers. Number 5. Gore Riders. Another essential component for my future Uber running paladin, giving me Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, and Open Wounds. Number 4. Guillaume's Face. My favorite set item in the game and basically the helmet version of Gore Riders that I can put on my paladin's face. Number 3. 2 open socket 259 ED Mighty Scepter. I am so glad that I found this, since this is going to be the weapon of choice for my paladin. High crushing blow, good damage, and the 2 open socket which I can shale to get the max IS breakpoints. Number 2. 117 defense Shaco. Do I need a reason to put Shaco at the top of my list? Except it's not on the top of my list because I ended up finding number 1. Low rune. I am never not checking the chest up here again. Holy mother of progress. Amidst this, I also decided to finally do the Bale fight, wherein I killed the big dude himself. I also did some trades by selling off these essences that I got from Mephisto, learning as I went along, and got myself a russet armor and 4 open socket monarch to build spirit to get myself in a much more comfortable position gear-wise. By the time I was done with these, I was basically just envisioning what I had to do for my future plans and trying to get all the materials that would be required for. Now, I could have just gone for the rush for forge approach, but I actually like playing this game. Thus, I went ahead and built up a paladin from scratch. I put a Rigsot skin on him that I had found on the sorc and went out hacking and slashing till I reached level 2. There I got a point into might and I did some more hacking and some more slashing, now one-shotting things with my little OP for this stage sword. At level 3 I got a point into sacrifice. Going forwards from that I put points into resist fire till level 6. At that point I could get some AoE into my attack using gas potions and also getting points into holy fire. This is going to be my form of attack for a few levels. Speaking of, that had me kinda awkwardly dwindling since I didn't really need the runes from the Countess, since this character is twinked and can get anything that he really wants from the shared stash, but the levels here were so good that I ended up staying till level 12 anyways. Till level 10 I got points into holy fire, deviating at that point to get a point into smite, and then saving the skill point at level 11 so that at level 12 I could get both charge and zeal. With all that newfound speed and power, I zipped through to Andy. Drank some antidotes as a prophylactic measure and smacked her in the face with fire damage. Now going forwards, my plan of attack for XP will just be to clear as many elites that I can come across, and the skill action will be Holy Fire for level 13, 14, 15, 16, Kill Duriel, Many Thawings, Such Wow, and 17. 17 is also where I get access to stealth, getting that sweet faster run walk and FHR. One thing that isn't quite so sugary is the damage output / input that this guy takes. That is the inherent flaw of melee though, can't really put this on him. Thus all we can do is roll with it till level 18, at which point we can respec to hammers. I went in immediately since even at its weakest state, that is only with 1 point in hammers, 1 point in conk, 1 in charge, 1 in vigor, and the rest in blessed aim, this guy still provides a better quality of life than any melee counterpart could. I also bought myself an apprentice wand to reach the 48 FCR breakpoint with stealth and the 2 FCR rings I had found earlier. Throughout the playthrough, I would be straddling the line between 48 and 75 FCR based on gear availability and damage maximization and other made-up concepts like that. I reached level 19 and put a point into conk and hammers using up the saved skill points I had from before. I reached Mephisto and decided to start the fight off using smite. I honestly don't know why I even bothered though, because it brought into effect all the drawbacks of melee close range attacking. Also, just attacking with hammers was equally as effective, if not more so probably we'll just stick to that going forward. I reached level 20 in the Plains of Despair and got more points into Blessed Hammer and Concentration. I did my Izzy and so should you, but what you shouldn't do is put the reward points into Blessed Aim because Vigor is strictly more optimal, but hey, we're splitting hairs at that point. I reached level 21 in the City of the Damned and got another point into Hammers. My XP gain in the CS was pretty low since the game actually punishes you for fighting monsters with a level much higher than yours. Thus, after killing Diablo and getting killed by him a few times, I decided to stay a while and farm some XP. I started with CS but ended up switching to Trav eventually since I found that to be more rewarding. I leveled to level 24 and also got points into Hammers. I also shopped for a teleport staff in the meanwhile, which will help me hop walls at the cost of 2.5k gold per charge. Getting through the Ancients was super easy. I mean, holy shit does this guy do damage. Getting through the waves was a matter of an unstoppable force meeting a slightly hard to move object. This got me to level 26 that I was looking for to end normal, and I could step into Nightmare and continue wrecking shop. Once I reach Nightmare, I can take my twinking action to the next level by borrowing my sorc's Spirit Sword. Items were really no concern for this guy. The one thing that he really was playing catch up to was XP. Thus I killed elite packs and even did a countess run to capitalize on the elites that spawned in the tower to get to level 28. Generally, my characters fight Andariel at around level 36, but the Pally entered the 30 under 30 list by doing so at 29. Another benefit of reaching that level was that it was the level required to equip Viper Magi and String of Ears, which I could borrow from my sorceress as well. The XP struggles continued though, since I reached level 30 by the time I was more than halfway through Act 2. The current plan was just to kill elites that I saw. These ones in particular are great since I gained like a quarter of a level just by killing them. I reached level 31, killed Uriel, and got to Act 3 and killed more elites along the way to level up and put points into hammers till level 36. Then we killed Nightmare Mephisto and reached level 37 at the start of Act 4. If you are getting tired of me stating what level I reached, I apologize, but that kind of is what leveling is all about. Also, I'm putting points into concentration now. I did the Forge and then got to CS where I could really let my hammers fly. By the time I killed Diablo, I was level 42 and still just putting points into concentration. Just through killing some more elites along the way, I got to level 44 and got enough strength points to equip a Hawes that I bought earlier with a perfect diamond in it. In this super twinked form of mine, nothing really stood a chance. Ancients, waves, you name it, and this guy can probably own it. I also got a point in Redemption for some quality of life improvements at level 51. Speaking of, the plan was to stay at Bale and get that level all the way up to level 66/67ish. I generally go higher for normal characters, but I think this twinked overpowered dude can handle hell just fine. Also, I put the Mighty Scepter on him as well, since as it turns out, it is pretty decent for a hammered in as well. That being said, the leveling doesn't stop there. You see, I need at least level 76 to be able to wield Dracs, which are a part of my final build with my Smiter, and thus it was all systems go as I cleared through this difficulty. Also, just clearing out elites with the super overpowered twinked Hammerden was some of the most fun that I've had while playing this game. And isn't that what games are all about? Having fun? No? Okay, yeah, you're right. They're about getting rich on the ladder, and so let's go do that. Dead. Dead. Ooh, pull rune. Dead. And dead. I also ended up killing Declone with this guy using a combination of smite and hammers. That encounter with Declone was an early test for my paladin, and honestly, I think that went well. Sure, I died, but that was considering that I had only 1 point in fanaticism and no automagic source of life tap. That was still solid, and it got me my first Annie. Neato. However, it was time to get the training tires off and go full daddy mode. The plan from here on out was to complete fleshing this guy out and then run Ubers with him. For that, I fired up my sorceress again, got her to 105 FCR and ran the arcane for some keys of hate. These keys sell for the most on the market. What I mean by that is that I can trade 3 keys of hate for 5 keys of destruction, and then 3 keys of destruction for 4 keys of terror, meaning profits. These do take their time to farm. I guess that's why they are expensive, but the math made it worth it in my eyes. For the Pally himself, I went with this build. This is a build that I built a few years back, and it really just revolves around having 100% crushing blow. This is achieved by Heaven's Light, Duress as the armor, Guillaume's as the headgear, and I have Gore Riders, which only get me to 98%. Now, I used Goblin Toes in my original build, but I like the additional utility that Gores provide, and 98% crushing blow is still plenty. Another cool facet of this build is the triple absorb that you get from Ravenfrost, which you need for Cannot Be Frozen anyways, T-Gods, which I highly recommend since Uber Mephisto can be a giant bitch, and Dwarf Star for the fire absorb as well. The main source of damage will be coming from an upped Hawes. I do recommend upping it for the additional smite damage, as it will help you heal faster through life tap, and of course, you need these to be able to cast it. Manual sources of life tap and teleport are also recommended in tandem. The AMI is whatever, honestly. For skills, it is a simple combination of smite, holy shield, fanaticism. 1 point I put into salvation and dumped the rest into resist lightning/fire for additional max res. I put enough strength for gear, enough dex for max block, and all the rest into vitality. With this, I can now more easily take on Declone, who actually spawns quite a lot on the ladder, and that's one of the benefits of getting a smiter up and running. You can use him to take this guy down as well. And how? That was a good performance. And that is a good reward. Wow. Good thing I was playing on the streamer server, am I right? Let me just get this listed quick, please. Now, again, I'm new to trading, so I might have made someone quite happy and quite rich, but honestly, I was satisfied with this trade. Laugh at me in the comments if necessary. What this build is really meant to do is Ubers, so let's get one of those runs fired up. Now the general strat for me here is that I actually go in wearing the treachery armor against the easy place and I clear out all the enemies. That might sound slow, and frankly it is, but it is faster than dying and losing all your gear and getting stuck in a loop all softcore players might be familiar with. This way you can slowly but surely make your way to Izzy and take him down. The man himself doesn't really command much respect as long as you're not surrounded by a million monsters. Next up, Duriel. He's the easiest one out of the three, just find him, he's generally near the portal, and take him out. Barely takes 20 seconds. That's good because a lot of time is going to be taken up in the matron's den. Again, clear everything as you go because monsters in here are scary, especially these herpes which can curse you, and then these ladies can tear you apart. Once you do reach Lilith though, you'll be happy you cleared out safe areas where you can lure her and not do this. Yeah, don't swing the life tap wand at her, that doesn't work. Again though, since I cleared out everything, this is not that big of a problem. Just a bit of bait and switch and we are up and running again. Once we are, you can see all the elements come into play. You can actually drink antidotes before the fight to make this a little safer, but it'll be fine, especially with rejuice and the belt to back you up. Finally, Tristram. Now, I will say this twice just so you remember. Use salvation against Mephisto, not fanaticism. Use salvation against Mephisto, not fanaticism. I think you saw why there. With fanaticism, I was sitting at minus 20 lightning res, and with salvation, that goes up to 75. It is a night and day difference, and that little thing will save you literal minutes of having to try to get your body back after Mephisto fries your face off with charged bolts. After that, Bale and Diablo are mostly easy. I would recommend life tapping them first and then jumping in. One annoying thing to watch out for are the mana burn attacks from these specters that spawn, and Bale himself, for those will sap your mana completely and leave you vulnerable as you won't be tapping all the life back from the Ubers. Other than that, grab the standard of heroes and the torch and waltz back to town. 1317 Druid. Boy, really should have been playing on that streamer server, huh? As it turns out, the only 3 torches that really sell are Pally, Sorc, and Assassin, so this is merely a placeholder to get some additional stats, or good for a future potential druid if I get crazy enough. Well, back to the grind we go. More farming, more trading, and more farming, and just a side note here, can I just say how lucky I am to be a part of the community of some of the nicest people on the planet? Like, I love the conversations I had with the people online. Little connections that you make while you share with someone a game that you both love. Just makes me happy. Anywho, let's get back to it. Attempt number 2 at the Ubers was interesting. Yeah, so this actually had me screaming at my monitor because Mephisto, after killing you, can literally just teleport to the portal and get you stuck in an infinite loop, basically. I actually cannot move. By the time Tristram loads, I am already dead. Usually that means resetting and losing all your keys and the progress that you made, but I was made of sterner stuff and I just barely managed to escape in one of my attempts. How I did it, I still don't know, but I managed to lure Mephisto away from the portal. That in itself was enough to allow me to retrieve my body, and then I could rebuff and do this thing the right way. Do as I say, not as I do, people. Surely I deserve a better torch for all that, right? Surely? Well, yes indeedy. 1919 Zon. Now, before the streamer luck allegations begin, remember what I said. Pally, Sorc, and Sin torches are the only ones that sell, but I still listed this up because you never know, there might be people leveling up Lightning Fury Zons, and within 10 minutes, I got it off me for a low rune. I would say that that's a W. Not to mention, enough that I could actually make a go for that Ber as well, which again, I think I got a pretty decent trade on. The Just gotta get that mage plate for in case I land the 775 and want to list this up for some guy's internal organs, and we're in business. A moment of silence, please. $764. Okay, so no internal organs today, but still. Brimming with potential for any future characters that I want to do everything with. Thanks for watching. Yours truly, with love.